Guys, I'm going to show you quickly how to do some SEO. It's easier to do it in a video form than it is to try to tell you in a text message. So I created a bogus post. Obviously this wouldn't be your title, but you'd want your title to have keywords. The keywords will also appear in your URL. Alright, so we're going to scroll down here. I've already added a featured image to this, as you can see right here. But that's going to be important in here in just a second. So I'm going to go all the way down. I got my SEO box all the way down the bottom here because it's the last thing I typically do. Alright, so main settings. So the first thing you're going to do on here is create a title. I had mentioned earlier that it's possible to have quote-unquote two titles. So you could actually name this article Fantasy Football Sit Start Week 3. And then if you wanted to have a different Google searchable title, you could do that as well. So if you want like a cool name for your title to show up on your website, meaning if somebody was to go to your site without doing a search, they would see your title. So let's say Love Hate, you put Love Hate Week 3. And then down here, because Love Hate isn't exactly a good searchable keyword for fantasy football, you could write down here Fantasy Football top starts and sits of week 5. So basically now when someone searches for fantasy football top starts or whatever, they're going to see this. This is what Google's going to show. But when they actually get to your website, they'll see what you put in the title up there. Love Hate Week 5, whatever the case may be. So you can have typically two titles if you want. Typically I don't. I keep the same title here as I do up there. But you don't have to. You could have a different title here if you wanted to, and some cool creative name for your title up there. Alright, so that's obviously got keywords in it. Fantasy football. We can just do sit starts. Just get rid of this. Top sit starts of week 6. Obviously sit starts is a pretty hot searchable item. And then in here, it just basically copies your first few lines of your article. I usually change this as well because typically it doesn't have any keywords in here. It's just your first few lines of your article. So I would type in something like breaking down week 5's top sit starts for your fantasy football team or something to that effect. Just something that gets the keywords in there. Obviously you can make it longer and be more creative, but I'm just trying to do this video real quick. So we got keywords in there. We got fantasy football. We got sit starts. Keywords are in your description now, and this is how it's going to look on Google. The description will be there. And then keywords here, it's similar to your tags, but you don't want to do more than 5. I usually stick to about 3 or 4. So obviously fantasy football would be 1. Sit starts, and then week 5. Sometimes you can do like the year. If you want to put the year in front of this, 2018, it'll help sort of narrow down their search. They won't get a bunch of other crap. So yeah, this is also keywords. You're going to want to have those in your article as well. On the social settings side, only thing I do here really is make sure we select our featured image. The featured image will not show up unless you save as draft. So once you add your featured image, save as draft, then come to social settings, select your image. This is the image that'll show up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. So you can kind of, if you had a bunch of images in your article and you wanted to have a different image as your featured image, you could do that. You could make a different description for Facebook and Twitter if you wanted to. The advantage to that is there's a lot more characters for Facebook and Twitter that'll fit, so you can write a lot more if you wanted to. Typically I leave it the same and it just defaults to your main settings. Same thing with your title. If you wanted to have a different title for Facebook, you could do that as well. I typically don't do that. I just pretty much leave it. And that's really it for the SEO box. There's not a whole lot more to it than just that. These other things down here I don't really mess with too much. I know what they do, but it gets a little too in depth and not quite what we need to do. I think that's pretty much it for the SEO box. I do have a few more things that I want to talk about, but I'll do a different video for those.